All the secret sordid mind.
Never a bad. The whole crazy success. You'll never abandon.
Why the secret sordid mind? Why the blood? Why do I look at intellectuals?
Because the battle's so fast.
Each day we wake up from the darkness and unconsciousness of sleep. But if a man becomes very one-sided or out of balance, the dreams and nightmares don't always wither with the morning sun, but may stay behind in the full light of day to haunt and torment the dreamer, to tear apart a family, or a friendship, or a marriage. At the age of 36, Carl Gustav Jung was already a psychiatrist with a substantial reputation. Sigmund Freud thought of him as crown prince and heir apparent to his psychoanalytical empire. But in 1911, Jung published a book which put at risk both his personal reputation and his relations with Freud.
What time is it?
It's early. Go back to sleep.
As the rift between himself and Freud deepened, Jung felt increasingly lonely and isolated. The voices within himself said, "Follow us," but Freud said, "Follow me." Jung knew that the price of following his unconscious would be pain and suffering, even insanity. But what right did he have to treat his patients if he was unable to heal himself? Eventually, the outer conflict between himself and Freud began to resolve itself into a ferocious inner drama. Were these inner events merely private and personal, or did they spring from a deep universal source, an instinctive heritage common to all mankind?
Here's your napkin, Francis. Didn't you sleep?
Bad dream, nothing to fuss over.
January the 3rd, 1913. Dear Dr. Jung, it is a convention among us analysts that none of us need feel ashamed of his own bit of neurosis. But one who, while behaving abnormally, keeps shouting that he is normal, gives ground for the suspicion that he lacks insight into his illness. Accordingly, I propose that we abandon our personal relations entirely.
I had a funny dream last night. I dreamt I was in a house, and there was a big storm. And then we were in this big room, like a cellar.
If you think dreams are funny, keep them to yourself. I have enough of dreams without getting them for breakfast.
Don't spill your milk.
Absolutely impossible. I'm supposed to get my mind in order for the day, and you prattle on about dreams and milk.
I knew my book disagreed with Freud's ideas enough to cost me his friendship. So we've broken. My friends and acquaintances have dropped away, The book is declared rubbish. I live in a state of inner uncertainty, of disorientation.
It has become a dogma. Impregnable.
Rosie to go! Mother!
Dr. Frank, making a right bench.
Black tide of blood.
Necessity of adaptation.
Yes, but surely it's just that.
Stronger intricate
Period of origin.
They can't bother to be on time, I can't bother to wait. There's no question of abandoning the sexual theory. If there's a sexually based neurosis, I deal with it as such. But I will not subscribe to dogma. There are cases the theory won't touch. And Freud's one of them. He has a religious sense he refuses to acknowledge. That's his neurosis. And you know where he hides his sense of the spiritual? In sexuality. My God, you should see his face when he talks of it. The face of an Old Testament prophet. The sexual libido is his jealous God, is Jehovah, demanding allegiance, forbidding rivals. Thou shalt have no God but sexuality.
Principles used the same now as then, for they exist as archaic traces of the unconscious, just as traces of our pre-human ancestry remain in the body. And they form the first language, not of words, but of images.
Dr. Jung! What the devil are you doing here? I have a most important dream! Important to whom? What was it about, your mother? I know nothing about dreams. What should I know? Look it up in Freud's book.
Can you post some letters for me? You're looking tired.
I was coming from the city and saw before me a lane with a long row of tombs. There were pedestals with stone slabs on which the dead lay. They reminded me of old church burial vaults where knights in armor lie outstretched. The dead lay in their antique clothes with hands clasped, the difference being that they were not hewn out of stone, but in a curious fashion mummified. I stood still in front of the first grave and looked at the dead man, who was a person of the 1830s. I looked at his clothes with interest, whereupon he suddenly moved and came to life. He unclasped his hands, but that was only because I was looking at him. I had an extremely unpleasant feeling, but walked on and came to another body. He belonged to the 18th century. There, exactly the same thing happened. When I looked at him, he came to life and moved his hands. So I went down the whole row until I came to the 12th century. That is, to a crusader in chainmail who lay there with clasped hands. His figure seemed carved out of wood. For a long time I looked at him and thought he was really dead.
Will you be back for lunch?
But suddenly, I saw that a finger of his left hand was beginning to stir gently.
Will you be back for lunch?
What?
Will you be back for lunch?
I don't know. No, I'll get something in town.
Don't put them in your pocket, you'll forget them. Will you do that later? What are you discussing?
There's no seminar this morning.
Oh,
But I must go. You know I hate being late.
I'm sure you do. You spare me just enough of your time to provide me with fantasy material. Can you not lie like other men do?
I don't want to lie. Anyway, I'm a bad liar.
My feelings do exist, you know, however irrational they may be. My fantasies are a reality to me, just as real as what you'll be doing this morning. Or do you find wives less real than friends or patients or you?
But there are some things I want to talk about this morning, that's all.
And you think it helps me to tell me that?
I'm sorry.
Is she so important?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes!
Mankind finds value in life. Man has always lived by myth. So what is the myth I live by? I'm not a Christian. How do I find the value I've lost?
I went to my father's old university. He came with us on a fraternity outing. We went to a little village in the Markgrafen district and drank the new wine. Suddenly there he was again, one of us, gay, eyes sparkling, whole future ahead of him. He died that winter. He lost his faith. Marriage was a failure. And never once did he open his heart to me.
Perhaps he was afraid of losing control.
Or authority, like Freud. I've lost my way. I feel as if I'm wandering in the land of the dead. I've lost meaning. And patients come to me with their dreams and I feel a fraud. I don't even understand my own damn dreams. It's all dead stuff. I have dreams of dead things waiting to come to life, waiting for me to breathe life back into them as if I was some kind of a god. What do you say to that?
If you were my patient, I'd tell you it's not your responsibility to redeem your father.
Claptrap. Now, if I were my patient, I'd send him along to Berg Holtzley. Dear Bloiler, do take this fellow in. We can do nothing with him. He's really Jesus Christ, but he won't admit it. What are you looking for?
The wider the gap between conscious and unconscious, the nearer creeps the fatal splitting of the personality. As a rule, outside help is needed to bridge the gap.
Well, perhaps I should return to the Vienna fold. Huh? What do you think? Give up my half-baked ideas and become respectable again. Writing monographs to show how the whole universe leads back to my cock. Yeah, we could have a discreet little affair between my professorial duties, Zurich fashion. Would you like that? At least it wouldn't jeopardize your career as this does. Mistress to the nasty fellow Jung, Freud, Judas.
Oh, be quiet, do. I've been rereading the Upanishads. With all that sifting out of the mythic elements you had me doing, I'd forgotten what else is there. Do you remember when I first came to you? I told you how I woke one night thinking, what if there is no meaning? Not just in my life, in everything. No meaning. The blind panic of it. Like the idea of spinning in space forever. I was in a neurosis, of course. But if that was the negative pole, the positive pole must be what one finds in the Upanishads, which is not just the absence of neurosis. The self is one. Unmoving, it moves faster than the mind. The senses lag, but self runs ahead. Unmoving, it outruns pursuit. The man who can see all creatures in himself, himself in all creatures, knows not sorrow. I went through your book again. I was looking for what you gave me. A sense that one lives by something. And the further I looked, the sterner it seemed to get. The acceptance seemed to be the acceptance of authority, of a stern masculine law. It seemed to be a tale of battle. The unconscious is a hostile country. Indolence is the path that leads to it. Work is the way of escape. It seemed almost as if you'd do away with the unconscious.
You think I come here to be lectured at? By a former patient? I must go.
I've tried to find the roots of the psychological disturbance in me. But thinking back over my childhood has led me nowhere. I let my mind go, submit to the impulses of the unconscious. There comes a memory of a boy playing with bricks. That boy still lives in me, carrying a creative life I've lost.
A stream of fantasies begins, a diabolical mixture of the sublime and the ridiculous. I write it all down. I try not to lose my head. I live in a constant state of tension.
However irrational.
I went through your book again.
My fantasies are reality to me.
I was looking for what you gave
For
me.
beauty does not lie
Or
in
do
the thing,
wives less real.
but in the feeling of
Patience.
You know what you're like?
Here's your
Like a
vision
man
of the
sitting in a
full
boat
person
blowing on the
himself
sail.
is lesser than the least.
Is she so
It won't make us
important?
go any
Greater
faster,
than
you
the
know.
greatest.
death and
He
rebirth.
lives in all hearts.
Every day after lunch, I play until the patients arrive, and again in the evening. I have no idea what I'm doing, but beneath the surface, the unconscious seethes with life. You behold the mystery.
The unconscious is a hostile
Death of the
country.
hero.
Sacrifice.
The Egyptian scarab, symbol of
It
rebirth.
seemed almost as if you were trying to do away with it.
The rising sun.
My sexual theory is the whole basis of psychoanalysis. Don't ever abandon it.
Why the secret sordid murder?
Your patient has arrived.
What are you doing?
As you can see.
Mummy said you were busy.
Yes, well, I am. Good. Come and help.
What's that?
That's a church.
Are there any people in it?
Have a look.
There's
Well?
no one there.
No, well, that's because it's not finished yet.
I told you not to come down here. Dinner's ready. Go on back now.
Now, go on, run along.
Are you coming to eat?
Yes, yes, I think it's going to rain. Well, what do you think of my little toy? I know what my respected colleagues would think.
What do you expect me to say? I have no knowledge. You'll have to ask somebody else.
My body's not mine.
the oldest of which corresponds to the unconscious.
You mean that's the way it is? Or that's the way it seems to be?
He who knows the self, bodiless among the embodied, unchanging among the changing, prevalent everywhere, goes beyond sorrow. May he protect us both. May he take pleasure in us both. May we show courage together. May spiritual knowledge shine before us. May we never hate one another. May peace and peace and peace be everywhere.
I've decided to go to Schaffhausen for a while.
You taking the children?
Does it matter? You don't notice them.
I know how difficult it must be.
You don't. If you did, you couldn't stand it. I'm no longer real to you. I exist, vaguely. The servants will look after you. If you need me, you can send for me. Well, I'm going to bed now. Good night.
It's your mother crying in you. Let her cry. Cry for her. I begin to realize the only way to gain control over my fantasies is to let myself plummet down into them. I have violent resistance to the idea. I'm afraid of losing command, becoming prey to my fantasies. As a psychiatrist, I know only too well what that means. But I see no other way. I stood helpless before an alien world. Everything in it seemed difficult and incomprehensible. I was living in a constant state of tension. Often I felt as if gigantic blocks of stone were tumbling down upon me. One thunderstorm followed another. My enduring these storms was a question of brute strength. Others have been shattered by them. But there was demonic strength in me. What is it I'm doing? What am I writing this stuff down for? These fantasies. It's nothing to do with science. What is it?
Art, of course. What else? If it isn't science, then it must be art. You're not a scientist, you're an artist.
That's not true.
Look at the style you're writing in. Not scientific. Could it be? We're dealing with the unconscious. The unconscious has nothing to do with logic. Why do you have so much resistance to the ascetic approach? Where would Goethe have got with Faust if he'd insisted on being scientific? Do you think it unmanly to be artistic? To use intuition? To produce things you don't altogether control?
Arguing with figments of my own unconscious. It's grotesque. And a woman at that. Why a woman? Why one of my patients? Well, perhaps it's true. And because I resist the idea, I put it to myself as the ramblings of a psychotic young lady.
Carl, you're in control. I think you should treat her as if she's real. And don't let her fool you. If you call your fantasies art, you're disclaiming responsibility and anything can happen. I worry about you.
Emma comes back tomorrow.
I'm glad.
Autumn 1913. The pressure in me seems to be moving outwards, as if there's something in the air. The atmosphere actually seems darker than it was, as if I were no longer involved in a psychological disturbance, but in a real external one. I think I'm being menaced by a psychosis.
See that? Like some coffee? Bring some coffee. Various people have been asking after you. I said you went on holiday. I didn't say from me. And there are some letters for you somewhere.
How are you?
Well, the house has been very empty, very silent. I needed a few noises.
The ones you usually complain about.
Yeah. I've been wandering about like a dispossessed ghost. And of course I could find nothing. I don't know where everything's put. And there are bills and things. Oh, did I tell you I've resigned from the yearbook?
Yes.
Piss pots. I could do without them all. It's good that you're back.
What do you know about the unconscious? Traveller's tales. And the travellers are psychotics.
Well, all the more reason to get up my arse and see for myself.
I think it's arrogance. I'm afraid for you.
Look, I've got nothing left to deal with. My mind's like a clean slate. I've wiped it clean. I've got to see what's down there.
You come in now. I hope you like trout.
I love trout.
Is she so important?
Well, I think I'll do some more work.
Don't be too long.
Thank you. December 12th, 1913. Suddenly, it was as if the ground literally gave way beneath my feet, and I plunged down into dark depths. I could not fend off a feeling of panic. But then, abruptly, at not too great a depth, I landed on my feet in a soft, sticky mass. I felt great relief, though I was apparently in complete darkness. After a while, my eyes grew accustomed to the gloom, which was rather like a deep twilight. Before me was the entrance to a dark cave in which stood a dwarf with a leathery skin, as if he were mummified. I squeezed past him through the narrow entrance and waded knee-deep through icy water to the other end of the cave. On a projecting rock, I saw a glowing red crystal. I grasped the stone, lifted it, and discovered a hollow underneath. At first, I could make out nothing, but then I saw that there was running water. In it, a corpse floated by. A youth with blonde hair and a wound in the head. He was followed by a gigantic black scarab, and then by a red newborn sun rising up out of the depths of the water. Dazzled by the light, I wanted to replace the stone upon the opening, but then a fluid welled out. It was blood. Death and rebirth. Grasping the stone of wisdom, you behold the mystery. Death of the hero. The Egyptian scarab, symbol of rebirth. The rising sun. Why the secret sordid murder? Why the blood? Why do I have to intellectualize about it? Why doesn't the meaning simply come through? What is it that cuts me off from it? I was with an unknown brown-skinned man, a savage, in a lonely rocky mountain landscape. It was before dawn. The eastern sky was already bright and the stars fading. Then I heard Siegfried's horn sounding over the mountains, and I knew that we had to kill him. We were armed with rifles and lay in wait for him on a narrow path over the rocks. Then Siegfried appeared, high up on the crest of the mountain in the first ray of the rising sun, on a chariot made of the bones of the dead. He drove at furious speed down the precipitous slope. When he turned a corner, we shot at him, and he plunged down, struck dead. Filled with disgust and remorse for having destroyed something so great and so beautiful, I turned to flee, impelled by the fear that the murder might be discovered. But a tremendous downfall of rain began, and I knew that it would wipe out all traces of the dead. I had escaped the dangers of discovery. Life could go on, but an unendurable feeling of guilt remained.
Siegfried. Siegfried. Follow the dream. In the morning. Must sleep now. Follow the dream. Shoot yourself. Shoot yourself. Find a solution or follow the dream. Or shoot yourself.
In the name of God! Why can't you leave me alone? What in God's name do you think you're doing? Are you mad? Yes! Go back to bed where decent people are!
Siegfried, the hero, the demigod, symbol of the supremacy of the will, symbol of arrogance. If consciousness tries to subject the unconscious to its will, it pays the price. I hold on to my work, my family as anchors to reality. Without them, I'd be lost in the inner world, driven out of my wits. My name is Carl Jung. I have a wife and 4 children. Patients depend on me. But my 2 worlds seem irreconcilable. I can neither understand nor communicate what is happening to me. I live in extreme loneliness. I cannot read a book. I resigned from the Psychoanalytical Association, no longer teach at the university. My name is Carl Jung. I have a wife and 4 children. Patients depend on me.
I made several attempts to get to the very bottom. The first time I reached a depth of about 1,000 feet. The next time I found myself at the edge of a cosmic abyss. It was like a voyage to the moon or a descent into empty space. First came the image of a crater, and I had the feeling that I was in the land of the dead. The atmosphere was that of the other world. Near the steep slope of a rock, I caught sight of 2 figures, an old man with a white beard and a beautiful young girl. I summoned up my courage and approached them as though they were real people and listened attentively to what they told me. The old man explained that he was Elijah, and that gave me a shock. But the girl staggered me even more, for she called herself Salome. She was blind. What a strange couple, Salome and Elijah. But Elijah assured me that he and Salome had belonged together from all eternity, which completely astounded me. They had a black serpent living with them, which displayed an unmistakable fondness for me. I stuck close to Elijah because he seemed the most reasonable of the 3 and to have a clear intelligence. Of Salome, I was distinctly suspicious.
I begin to see that the woman is the unconscious feminine side of my nature. If I'm blind to her, then I'm blind to my feminine side. Through her, I make contact with my psychic origins, with the deepest layers of the unconscious. (1916). Gradually an inner change is taking place. I feel an urge to give shape to something. There's a restlessness, an ominous atmosphere. I feel as if I'm surrounded by ghosts. They call on me.
Have you finished work?
No, I can't work this evening. I've been down by the lake.
But I heard you up there. You were going sailing this morning.
Yes, I was. I changed my mind. I'm too tense. Just mess it up.
Yes, well, it is rather gusty. Franz has just told me he's had a nightmare.
Huh?
Carl, what's wrong?
I don't know. Something's got to break. I begin with nothingness. Nothingness is the same as fullness.
As I begin writing, the voices stop. I call it the 7 Sermons to the Dead. In 3 evenings, it's finished. Eastern rather than Western in thought, not a work of science. There is no scientist in the unconscious. But it carries the essence of what I am to work on for the rest of my life.
A thing that is infinite and eternal hath no qualities, since it hath all qualities.
In 1916, without knowing what they were, I began to paint mandalas, circular patterns which in the East symbolize wholeness. So I emerged from the darkness. Through them I came to know that only at first is individual progress like a road to another country. Later the true goal of life appears. The rediscovery of the old country, the healing of the psyche, the achieving of a new dynamic balanced unity of the unconscious with consciousness. Life is like a plant that lives on its rhizome, on its bulb. What appears above ground lasts a single summer and withers away. The blossom passes, the rhizome remains. Man's task is to become conscious of the contents that press upwards from the unconscious. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being.
But we don't want to go that way, do we? So what do? It's clever, you see. Now, suppose we want to go in that direction. Eh? I just point over in that direction. Eh? It happens. See? Eh? So we'll do it. So you see, if we're bearing